And let me tell you something. My sources here tell me, and I ain't really want to say this, but they used to look at Jimmy G a little sideways, like he was kind of a little bit Mr. Glass. And I'm not talking about the Sam Jackson character,
right?
Where they were like, can't really depend on him. Can't stay on the field.
Who are we talking about here?
I ain't gonna say no names.
Players or coaches?
How about initials?
Let's just say they were between the lines.
They were between the lines.
Yeah.
People that are still here or now gone?
No, let's just say they were between the lines.
They were between the lines.
Why don't we just do a report? Where were they? Who was it?
Between the lines.
So his teammates thought he was soft.
Let me. I'm not saying who. I'm just saying between the lines. They looked at him a little bit like, can we really count on this dude?
That's Jermaine Wiggins, part of the Greg Hill Show on WEEI, talking about Patriots players, presumably, since they are the ones between the lines, who had concerns about the reliability of Jimmy Garoppolo. This narrative of him not being available isn't new, Chris. 2006, 4-game suspension for Tom Brady for Deflategate. Jimmy Garoppolo's auditioned for the NFL. What happens? He gets injured in the second game with a shoulder problem. Jacoby Brissett gets a chance to audition for the remaining 2 games of the 4-game suspension. So I'm not shocked by this.
No.
And it makes you wonder, is there a sense of caution as it relates to the possibility of bringing back Jimmy Garoppolo? And they got Cam Newton. To me, I don't see it. I know people like Tom Curran think it's possible, but stories like that make me think it's less possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like, I don't think it's totally out of like Crazyville. I think there may be still a possibility, but I'm with you. I think it's like less likely to happen than more likely to happen. And I think that was a real thing to what Jermaine Wiggins was talking about, as far as the perception of Jimmy G in New England. I think there was real disappointment, at the time in one. Let's see. So it was that second game against the Dolphins. He gets hurt in the first half of the game. He's playing really well. Week 3, they play the Buffalo Bills, and that's where they did some of the Wildcat Jacoby Brissett. I think there was thought that he could still play in that game. And then the week after that, the 4th game, which he didn't play, I think there was a lot of guys that thought, wait, he could play and do this and whatever else. And I think there was a little disappointment throughout the organization that didn't happen. So, hey, when you have stuff like that, and, of course, all the things that have gone on the field and him being injured and all the time he's missed, listen, perception becomes reality. And in this case, it's not perception. The reality is the reality on this one. And you do have to worry about this with Jimmy Garoppolo as your starting quarterback. You got to have a good backup because you just can't trust him to stay healthy for the whole year.
We drafted yesterday the potential destinations for Jimmy Garoppolo, but I think any team out there that would be considering him has to factor that into their assessment, because if you do trade for Jimmy Garoppolo or sign him in the event that he would be cut, although I think a trade is more likely with a reworked contract, and he gets injured, what are they going to hear from us and everyone else?
Yeah, right.
Why did you trust this guy as your starter? He's missed 23 of 48 games over the past 3 years. You knew or should have known that the guy has a propensity to not be available.
Yeah, agreed. To me, it has to come with the territory with him. Okay, we got Jimmy G. He's going to be our starter. All right, well, we better have a guy that we know we can depend on to be the backup. There's nothing. And again, he can right this ship. And hopefully he goes on a run here where he doesn't get hurt for 7-8 years in a row. But right now, yes, there's no way I would have him on my team without the first thought of going, wait, he's here. Who else are we going to have behind him? Because the chances are that he is going to miss a game or two during the football season.
And, I get pushback from people sometimes. Why do you hate Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't hate him. I don't know him. I don't have an opinion about him personally. All I know is the guy's gotten paid a ton of money. And one of the things you get paid for as a professional athlete is to be available. And if you consistently aren't available at a time when you have made, and I'm doing the rough math here, let's just say a crap load of money over the past 3 seasons, there's a point where tough questions are going to be asked, because there are plenty of other guys out there, even at the quarterback position nowadays, plenty of guys who are capable of doing the job and not doing something stupid like lowering a shoulder at the sideline and blowing out your ACL. That, for me, that was the moment. And that's why I wonder what Kyle thought or said when he realized what Jimmy Garoppolo has done. When I saw that and realized that kind of stupid in the moment inability to control that basic tough guy instinct, mindset, whatever.
Yeah, it was.
And it tears his ACL. I mean, I've criticized other guys for doing that. Why are you delivering a blow at the sideline? Get your ass out of bounds and live to see another play. You owe that to the team that's paying you all that money and your teammates to be available. That, to me, was when I said, this guy, I got doubts about this guy. They're never going to go away because he's the only, well, I mean, others have done things that stupid. He's the only one to tear an ACL doing something that's stupid.
Yeah, well, it's just, a little.
Other than Bill Grammatica, who tore an ACL celebrating.
Jumping
and
up
there
in
was
the
another
air at the
guy.
Meadowlands.
Another guy tore an ACL celebrating. Other than that, this is the stupidest thing I've seen.
Well, it just goes into the category of like meatheadedness, right? I mean, that's really where it goes into, and I think that's, something that at times I think you and I have joked about over the years. So that's where he comes off a little bit as different maybe to other quarterbacks in the NFL that way. Maybe not necessarily always the most cerebral in the way he talks in front of the podium and all of that. It's a concern. It really is. There's talent there, as we know. He can do a lot of good things on the field. He's unflappable in a lot of ways too. He always has the same demeanor. So all those things you're gonna like about him playing quarterback. In the pocket, he's pretty good. He can change his arm and do things like that, get the ball out of his hand in a hurry. But it's the great risk of Jimmy Garoppolo. And that's where it's going to be really interesting to see who trades for him, and what they do give up for him if that all comes about and the 49ers finally do offer him out there. And then, of course, what they do with the rest of their quarterback room to support him for the in-case situation that we're talking about.
So with a meatheadedness rating of 98 in Madden, Jimmy Garoppolo would be a perfect candidate to be a quarterback for the Detroit Lions, frankly, to tie it back to something we talked about earlier.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.